You wouldn't know the Fredericton men's shelter existed unless you walked into this narrow alleyway. The shelter is tucked away behind layers of cold brick government buildings and snow. It houses about 30 men, but if there's no room, it means sleeping on the street, and 36-year-old Brian McKinley knows all about that.
It's pretty traumatizing just to end up out here once, because you could die, just once out here.
McKinley has been living in the shelter for the past month, and it's been there when he's needed it most. He spent a year and a half in a mental hospital and blames his life on the street. He suffers from depression and has often been homeless. McKinley was only 21 the first time and spent a year on the streets. Last year, he used a men's shelter for 6 months.
I had the shelter and different things. I was in bad places.
Warren Maddox is the executive director of the homeless shelters in Fredericton. He has asked the city to reduce the shelter sewage and water bills. The alleviation would have helped to save the shelter money.
It would have a positive impact because we're able to free up money elsewhere within our budget to do other things that the shelters need to do. We have a pretty large budget of over $550,000 a year, so every little bit helps in terms of being able to get the revenue and expense areas to match up better than they have been.
Maddox wasn't expecting an answer right away from the city and knows these things take time, but men like McKinley say they need to know how their conditions may change.
Oh, that wouldn't be good. It's already bad enough now because, it's stressful, a bunch of guys living in the same environment. Most of us aren't doing so well,
Maddox says this shelter's been working with the city to help the homeless in other ways, like the Community Action Group on Homelessness and Poverty.
Ultimately, that's for Councillor O'Brien to sort of champion through City Council and to see ultimately what is their role going to be in terms of supporting the overall strategy behind ending ending homelessness period, which really sort of translates into chronic homelessness and minimizing the impact of homelessness in Fredericton.
City Councillor Michael O'Brien is one of the councillors who are reviewing the shelter's case.
Oh, the decision has been made. We cannot accommodate it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I think, I don't know if there was an official formal letter went through, but they had requested something and they did not get endorsement of it.
O'Brien said that social services are not something the municipal government's taxes are for, and that the shelter's monetary problems are a provincial issue.
The city has always taken the stand that we don't get involved in social issues because where would it ever end? Where would you say we could support one group and then we can't support another group?
Before my interview with O'Brien, Maddox was unaware of the city's denial of the shelter's request and is surprised by the lack of communication.
We haven't really officially heard anything from the city as to whether they were going to try to do something and proceed ahead or not. So it's sort of a bit of news in terms of hearing it for the first time, but it's not surprising, and we'll keep plugging away.
While Warren knows now the fate of his request, others like McKinley will find out soon and will have to live with the consequences of that decision.
Anything to hurt that would send a bunch of us bugging out on the street probably. It's probably I don't know if I'm going to end up in the streets again this summer. It's hard to stay there, It's like, if anything cut back like that, that might be the tipping point that sends more of us out.
O'Brien says the city will try and find other non-cash ways to help the homeless. Maddox promises he'll exhaust all avenues to try and find help, while men like McKinley will just try to stay alive. For St. Thomas Journalism, I'm Oscar Baker III.